model of state-owned enterprises is simply not sustainable. They also say that South Africa is likely to face a possible credit rating downgrade if it continues to use government funding to run S.O.E.s. Calls for privatisation of S.O.E.s have once again intensified.
State-owned enterprises continue to face massive financial losses, with some of them having to rely on the state to bail them out. This puts a heavy burden on the fiscus, which is battling with a limited tax base. It's also affecting government's capital expenditure programs. Economists say that privatization will help ensure that state-owned enterprises are profitable.
The current model of complete ownership by the state is not working because the state-owned enterprises are not being run on a commercial basis at all, hence the losses, and that's placing great strain on state resources. The next problem is that there's a very inefficient use of capital, and South Africa is capital deficient, and we need efficient deployment of capital, and that we cannot continue to rely on financial repression to provide capital, especially when we are so capital deficient.
SAA, which has received bailouts from government on numerous occasions, has undertaken a turnaround strategy to try and rescue the ailing airline. But economists say that the airline simply does not have the funds to run its developmental programs and is not profitable. Another S.O.E.s has been struggling to keep the lights on and plunged the country into darkness as it's experienced delays in completing the construction of Medupi and Kusile power stations. This has resulted in millions of rands being lost by companies as they battle with load shedding.
Electricity production has been less than what it should be in a growing, vibrant economy, and you've also had to suck out an enormous amount of resources out of the economy to fund the cost overruns. And you're not going to get a bigger and better power station as a result. It's just plain consumption of capital that becomes dead.
A lack of good governance and political will remain some of the biggest challenges affecting state-owned enterprises.
There's too much complexity, there's bureaucratic strangulation, there's lack of the reasons behind policies. There's lack of what I call practical game plans. They come up with strategies, and some of those might work or might not work, but I don't know that they tested to make sure that they'll happen. And I know people will be cross with me, but there's arrogance about government making decisions without consulting properly.
Analysts say that both government and the private sector must work together to find an amicable solution to the challenges facing state-owned enterprises. Naledi Mudif, SABC News, Johannesburg.